incarnations of Batman. That was a key incarnation because the TV show was so popular, the comic books were reflecting it. You're absolutely right. It feels like you could watch a double feature with Batman the movie with Adam West.
Absolutely, and I tell you what's interesting is that now they are releasing the original Adam West, Burt Ward, Batman and Robin television series, the complete series on Blu-ray.
Wow.
Just to give everybody a taste. You can look it up on Amazon right now. Batman and Robin, or Batman, the series from our childhood, is being released. And I tell you what, I don't know how much it is, but I would love to have it in my collection because I think the Batman series really kind of got me into reading comics. That series in and of itself, that and ironically enough, Spider-Man from the late 70s, early 80s.
Okay.
The one with Peter Hammond as Spider-Man. Remember those movies? He didn't fight supervillains. He fought crime. He fought drug dealers. Remember that? There was nothing super about him. He would crawl up walls and things like that. And he was still Spider-Man, but I remember those movies, and those really shaped my idea of superheroes and comics and what comics were like. And I still enjoy those to this day when I can find them. So I think you're absolutely right. I think comics have gotten in a different place in its consciousness. When you compare how as recent as Batman with Tim Burton as to The Dark Knight Rises now, I think there is this big there is this big, I guess you could say, transformation of the genre, and I think it's for its benefit. I think a lot of nerds that poo-poo it unfortunately don't see the forest for the trees, because now we can take these characters, and that's the great thing about comics is comics can transform characters into different things. I mean, they made Thor into a frog. Thor is a woman in the comics now, not Thorina, not She-Thor apparently. It's a woman in the comics. So, we have to be open to new ideas even on the screen, because there's some things in comics that don't really work on the big screen. For example, don't want to take up too much time about this. For example, Watchmen. At the end of the Watchmen comic, no spoilers, because if you haven't read the Watchmen graphic novel, you should.
Why are you even listening to this show?
I know, really? Why? The Watchmen graphic novel by Alan Moore, at the end of that comic, at the end of that graphic novel, it was basically a huge octopus, a squid. Yep. It was a giant squid. Yep. That would not have translated well to the screen. It would have looked geeky and dorky, and it just wouldn't have translated well. And I think it would have been detrimental to the mild success of the Watchmen movie. So, and I think what worked on screen, what the ending was in the screen version, worked. I liked it. I thought it worked really well, and I think that we have to be. I think nerds in and of themselves should have a little more open mind with these things. Have fun with them. There are certain things that I can live with. Others I can't. Iron Man 3, I really wanted the Mandarin, not the foe of Mandarin. Sure. But I can live with those things. But I think ultimately, the culture of nerd has become almost it's become a beast unto itself, and it's very popular. And I think for us we should, instead of trying to get people. Trying to move people out of it, we shouldn't be inviting more people in to tell us how fun this stuff is, and we enjoy it. And it's not because we're idiots or we're small kids. We just enjoy the fact that comics and these movies, they bring us entertainment. And one of the things about comic characters in and of themselves, the one thing that they always do is there's always hope. That's the one thing about comic book characters. The majority of them, not all of them, even the Punisher in some sense, as dark as he is, he does give you a sense of hope that there are guys out there that are willing to go into dirty places and take out those guys that not necessarily are ones that you would take out. Yeah. So I would have to say that they give you hope, and I think that that's something that we should all be willing to invite other people in to enjoy. It's not for everybody's taste, but Comic-Con is one of those places where I guess you could say that it's a pinnacle of nerddom. And I think it's a good place for us to be at this point, even with the nacho cheese BO. I think.
Very well put.
Anyway, moving on. The last couple of things I want to get here or get onto the show is this. We saw together. We couldn't touch on it last time. We saw Dawn of the Planet of the Apes together, and a really quick consensus from my end. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was very somber, completely depressing. I thought that Matt Reeves did a great job. Andy Serkis was great. I thought that the humans, although underused, were fantastic. I think the story's going somewhere, obviously, because this is a prequel. And I think that it's going to have a lot to live up to after this one, because just be prepared, though. It's a very, very, very somber, depressing movie. And I don't say that as a bad thing. I say that as a good thing, because we're moving forward to that. We're looking at the destruction of the human race. So for me, you and I were sitting together. I thought it was fantastic. I absolutely loved it. And I think that not something I'll be rushing out to see again by any stretch. But for me, I loved it. That's a 4-star movie. 3D, underwhelming. Still, good film. What's your take?
I, for the most part, completely agree with you. It's such a somber and downbeat film that I thought it was almost oppressively so after a while. It kind of reminded me of that movie we saw when we were kids called Greystoke, The Legend of Tarzan, Lord of the Apes.
Yes, my father loved that. We watched it all the time, and I hated it. But now I love it.
Yeah, it's a solid film, but man alive, it's apes killing apes. It's humans killing apes, and it's brutal, it's vivid, it's graphic, and it's very sad. And I felt almost the same way watching Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. It's everything that's happens in the film. The violence and the darkness of it are not oppressive. It's necessary. It's all leading to this trilogy.
Right.
It's all leading to the beginning of the series that we know. And at the same time, it can be so tough to sit through, because it is wall to wall, the brutality and human life and life in general just evaporating with machine gun fire. I miss the heart of the previous film. I felt like in Rise of the Planet of the Apes, not only was there the connection between Caesar and James Franco, of all people, but the scenes between Caesar and John Lithgow I thought were so tremendously moving, and I miss that.
John Lithgow, you forget how good of an actor he is.
I miss that guy. I wish he would be more movies.
He is fantastic. I thought his turn in Dexter, not to stray away from Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, he was phenomenal in that show when he was on in season 4, I believe. He was amazing. John Lithgow is an amazing actor. He really, really captured what James Franco's father was like as suffering from Alzheimer's.
Right.
He really captured that for me, and it was heartbreaking. And he did a very good job in the Rise of the Planet of the Apes. But to your point, I think that was purposeful. Taking out the heart was purposeful in the second film, because I think that's what we're going to see in the third, because that's what's going to take Caesar to New York City, where of course the start of the Planet of the Apes, the 1968 film, starts.
Yeah.
So I think it was purposeful, because they want us to think there is no hope. Don't you think?
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, on the one hand, Jason Clarke and Gary Oldman and Kerry Russell, who are the human leads in this film, they do a fine job. They got some great scenes. But these weren't characters that I found as endearing and as well developed as the previous film. I really felt like whenever the movie strayed away from the apes, some of the film's ability to leave me spellbound was gone.
I agree. I will agree with you on that. The apes really held the film up, ironically. The CGI held the film up. Gary Oldman, great. Jason Clarke, great. Kerry Russell, great. But they weren't the crux of this, and it felt... you know what? I wasn't surprised by it, because we should be paying attention to the apes as being the crux of the story. Yeah. So for that, I say that I give it a big 4-star review. I thought it was fantastic. So Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, for my taste, if you haven't seen it, don't take your kids. It's a very somber movie. It's a little depressing, very violent. It's something they'll definitely squirm their seats in. Don't take your 10-year-old kid. They're not going to like it, I don't think. As a matter of fact, I think it's scary for them. Don't
Absolutely.
You?
I think it was scary in general. That main villain, Koba, I thought was absolutely terrifying.
Oh, he was, wasn't he?
Vicious, awful. For me, it's a 3-star movie, but a solid 3 stars. This is a film that I was more impressed with than I actually liked. Right. As you said, it's not a film that I really want to see again all that soon, but in terms of showcasing the special effect and how visual effects can actually add to a story, not be an excuse for just empty spectacle and carrying a movie that has an empty plot, but this is where the special effects are a tool that can enhance a film. It's one of the best examples of that. The performances by Andy Serkis and even Judy Greer, who is unrecognizable as Caesar's wife.
She wasn't she?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Judy Greer. It's immaculate in terms of being a CGI showcase, and it's a very arresting film, but not fun. Not fun.
Not
at all.
fun at all.
Yeah.
Check it out if you can. We both highly recommend it for 2 different reasons, but check it out nonetheless. I think there's a future in these 8 movies.
I'd say so.
Yeah.
I'm excited for.
All right. Well, moving on really quickly here. Coming out this weekend, 2 big movies: Hercules with The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, and Lucy, starring the one and only Scarlett Johansson. 2 big movies coming out this weekend. 2 summer movies that are, I wouldn't say tentpoles by any stretch.
No.
But 2 films that are definitely action films, but on 2 opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yes.
Don't you think so? Which one are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to Lucy, and that has everything to do with the filmmaker. I'll defend Brett Ratner's Red Dragon because I love Red Dragon.
Good movie.
Really,
Brett Ratner. No one recognizes it as much as they should. Brett Ratner's Red Dragon, very good.
Very underrated. Yes,
Yeah.
very good film. But for the most part, I'm not a fan of his work. Whereas with Luc Besson, I've been waiting for years for him to make a comeback film. I don't feel like he's made a great film, truly, since The Fifth Element, and this looks like a comeback film.
Are you upset that he gave Chris Tucker a career? Is that what you're upset at?
Brett Ratner? No, I like the first Rush Hour a lot, actually.
All right,
but when you get to Rush Hour 3, where nobody seems to be trying at all, they're just kind of coasting on goodwill that evaporated years ago.
That's true. Plus, Jackie Chan's a commie. That's the other thing. Did you even notice? Have you seen Chinese television lately that they've been showing?
No.
Jackie Chan just bad mouthing the United States and all the evil things that they've done while he's made millions of dollars here. That's why I've been banning Jackie Chan movies in my house as of late.
I'm sure you and Dinesh just
I'm sure we did. You're
Chan.
doggone right, we did. Anyway,
but Jackie Chan is a genius.
He is.
He's a national treasure.
Oh, I'm sure he is in China, communist China. Anyway, moving on. So Lucy looks fantastic.
It does.
It asks the question, what if we were able to access 100% of our brain power, which is interesting. I think that's a fascinating hook for Luc Besson to get into.
And the answer is we blow a lot of stuff up and look really hot.
Apparently, and we could slow time.
That's right.
You never know. You never know. And then on the other end of the spectrum is Hercules, starring The Rock, Dwayne Johnson.
Typecast as a god among men.
Right. Not just a god, a Greek god. I'm telling you, like I said last time, here's a guy who has acting chops. He's a Samoan, an African American Samoan guy who is playing a Greek god. That, my friend, is acting chops.
And
all right.
Instant credibility in the role. You go, who do we cast? Who else could we possibly cast?
Who? You know who we could have if he was 20 or 30 years younger? Dolph Lundgren.
There you go.
But you can't. The Rock is the perfect choice for this. He is big, he's bold, he's brash, he is, without a doubt, he will embody what Hercules is. Matter of fact, what's ironic is that I was almost sad that he didn't get Conan, because I was like, oh, Conan's going to stink now, the new one with Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
Momoa did a great job, and I'll tell you what, I can't believe I'm saying this, I think it's actually better than the original with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Really?
Yeah, loved Conan the Barbarian. But Hercules, I think The Rock is going to do a great job. I have a good feeling about this film, and I think it's going to be...
better than Lou Ferrigno.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And even better than Arnold Schwarzenegger in Hercules Goes Bananas.
Oh, we can only hope.
Okay, we can only hope.
But I'll tell you what, though, you're absolutely right. And the thing about The Rock, about Mr. Johnson, which I think is so wonderful about him, is that he's a very underrated comic actor. His comic timing is spot on. He's very enjoyable, and he gets it. He's one of these guys like Schwarzenegger in comedy. He really excels.
Yes,
so
he does.
I think he's going to, and this isn't a comedy, of course, but obviously he has that way with roles where he's it's almost like he's inviting the audience in. And he has a sense of humor about what he's doing. He's not one of these guys who's a particularly pretentious actor.
Right. He wants to know the craft, but he also wants to be able to relate to the people that he's showing the craft to.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to it. The previews look absolutely over-the-top ridiculous. The huge lions, the big three-headed monsters. It looks like it's going to be completely a fun film for Dwayne Johnson, and I think Hercules will do a good job. You think? What do you think? You think Hercules or Lucy this weekend?
I think Lucy's going to be the number one movie in America, only because the demographic is wider. You don't often see women flocking to shoot 'em up movies, but I think they'll flock to this one because of Scarlett Johansson, because of a large demographic appeal. There isn't a lot of action movies with female appeal, but like with Wanted, it just seems like okay, the lead is a beautiful actress who's versatile, who's excelled in a lot of different movies. The guys want to see her kick butt, the women want to see it. Plus, there's There's also Morgan Freeman. It seems like there's a lot of different audience demographics that'll go for that movie, whether it's good or not.
Well, I tell you what, either by the time we meet next week, you and I will have seen one of them, hopefully.
Yeah.
All right, we'll watch Lucy or Hercules, whichever comes first, and we'll talk about it on the NerdWatch Nation next week.
Definitely.
I think that about wraps our time up for this weekend. We are so glad, or this week, I should say. Hope you have a great Friday weekend. We record on Thursdays, so we hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Check out our film. We'll be back next week. Please do yourself a favor. Follow us at NerdWatch Nation. We have a new Twitter account at NerdWatch Nation. Please follow us. We want to make sure that we have an audience that you guys enjoy. If you guys have any questions, if you guys have any things that we should be talking about,